Hello friends, my name is Ness, and thankfully I had my anniversary videos to put up recently because I've been barely reading. I read a couple of books in February and a few graphic novels in March, and that's basically been it. I think this period of slumpy behavior has been coming from a couple of places, but mostly from a place of mental exhaustion. I have been reading a lot for school, and school post-spring break has been crazy, so for me, reading right now doesn't feel like unwinding, and it really sucks because in my heart I want to be reading, but my brain is like, pfft. It was okay for a while. I was playing video games and doing other things in my free time, but I'm at the point where I really miss reading right now, so I'm trying to work my way back into my normal habits. In order to encourage myself to keep reading, I'm going to do something that I announced a couple of months ago that I was going to stop doing, and that is make a TBR. First of all, because I'm making this TBR for a really cool readathon, and second of all, because this whole period that I've been through, I've been picking up books and starting them and then abandoning them. I stopped making TBRs to give myself the freedom to choose whatever I wanted to read and go by my emotions and not to make commitments that I wasn't going to fulfill. I think right now the structure of a TBR is going to be useful for me to just kind of rein myself in because my emotions and my thoughts right now are just like squirrel, so maybe the structure is going to help. The Read Your E-Reader Readathon is one that is running through the entire month of April, which is so amazing. I can never fully participate in like the week-long one because my schedule just doesn't allow it, but this is a whole month thing, which is really great, especially because I'm going to be doing some traveling in the month of April, so plane time is the best reading time. I love my Kindle to pieces, and the majority of the reading that I do is on an e-reader, and I'm so guilty of doing the one-click buying and then just amassing all of these books on my e-reader that I don't get to. Plus, I go on overdrive, and anytime someone mentions something in a video that I think sounds remotely interesting, I'll either, if it's available, I'll like get it right away. If not, I'll put it on a wish list. So there's just so many books coming into my Kindle that I don't always get to. This readathon is being run by Raul from Latin Lector and Janie from Bookworm's Buddy. I will link all of their information in the description below so you can check it out and check out the full details of the readathon. There are 13 challenges and you can combine them in any way that you want. I'm going to pick one book for each challenge just to have a variety. I read about 12 books a month on pace, so 13 is not so much of a stretch for me when I'm reading normally. It's a stretch for me right now, but hopefully because I haven't read in the last 2 months, I'm due for a little bit of catch up. The first challenge is going to be to read a book of a specific length, and that is over 300 pages. For me, that's going to be The Wise Man's Fears by Patrick Rothfuss, so I am being very ambitious because this book is 1,000 pages long. But judging by how quickly I read the first one, I have a feeling that I can do this one pretty quickly as well. Like, I was engrossed and I just went for it. I feel pretty good about putting this on here, and also I really want to read this one. I think another reason I got a little bit slumpy is because I finished the second book in the Neapolitan novels and I finished The Name of the Wind, and I really wanted to continue with the series, but I told myself not to so that I could kind of elongate the whole experience of those series. So by putting off the things that I actually wanted to be reading, I think I got into a funky mood. So I'm gonna go back and do the things I actually wanted to do, and that includes reading this book. Number 2 is to read a book that you got for free, and for me that's going to be Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen because it is the book that I am rereading in the month of April. I've been rereading one book every month and inviting you guys to join me, whether you've read it before or not, in my buddy reading group, Read with Ness, which has a very unoriginal name, but I can't think of anything, so that's what it's been. I will link the group in the description, and it's very relaxed. You have the whole month to get to the book, and we basically just go into this forum and chat about it. I'm enjoying the crap out of this project, and I hope that if you've ever thought that you wanted to read Pride and Prejudice, or if you read it years ago and are due for a reread, that you'll consider joining me. Number 3 is to read a book from your library, and this is probably going to be Gathering Darkness by Morgan Rhodes for me. I've been buddy reading the series and we've read the first 2, and we've kind of talked about maybe picking up the next one soon. I think everybody that I buddy read with, Connor from Connor O'Brien and Kristen from What's Happening, have their copies of the book, so if we start this soon, this will probably be the the book that I borrow from the library. Number 4 is to read the first book in a sequel, and I will be reading The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I'm not gonna lie, I've tried reading this book before and I didn't make it very far, but I'm determined to give it a fair shot and at least come out on the other end with some fully formed thoughts so that I can offer a review, especially now that everybody's talking about it because the final book is on its way. I think it's being released in April. Number 5 is to read a sequel, and for me this will be Changeless by Gail Carriger. This is the second book in the Parasol Protectorate series. I really enjoyed the first book, Soulless, and it was a fun, fast-paced, mindless kind of read that I read on a plane, and so I didn't immediately pick up the second book, but I will be doing some traveling, as I mentioned, this month, and it's just such great plane reads. It's so fast and it really grabs your attention, so I'm hoping the second one is the same in that regard so that I can continue with the series. Number 6 is to read a book with a white cover because the stone associated with April is a diamond, and I will be finishing The Ask and the Answer by Patrick Ness. And yes, I have been reading this book since I reread the first one in January. I'm about halfway through before I put it down, and it's not bad. It's actually a big improvement over the first book in a lot of ways, and I've read this before, so this is a reread for me as well, but it's still, even knowing where the story is going, it still stresses me out. Something about the story and my investment in the characters makes it difficult for me to get through because Ness is just not letting anything be happy. Number 7 is to read a book that feels like spring. I'm picking Pilgrim at Tinker Creek by Dillard. I'm not sure if it feels like spring, but I do know that it is about the outdoors and Dillard's thoughts on like nature and things like that, so I associate spring with outdoor stuff. That works. Number 8 is to read a book by an author who's new to you, and for me that'll be The Girl in 6E by A.R. Torre. I bought this book on a whim after hearing someone talk about it. It was one of those impulsive buys, and I can't even remember who was talking about it or what I heard that made me want to read it, but you know, I own it. Number 9 is to read a standalone book, and this will be The Sense of an Ending by Julian Barnes. I put this on my TBR after seeking out some shorter fiction in order to kind of help myself read, and so I saw this. I saw it had mixed reviews, which always intrigues me. My friends either ranked it very high or pretty middling to low, so that always intrigues me because I want to know where I will land. So I was like, okay, this will be great, and I got it. And I still haven't read it. Number 10 is to read a book that you've had for over a year. I'll be reading The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. I bought this right when it came out in 2014 specifically because it was being marketed in certain places as Game of Thrones for girls, and that made me so angry that I bought the book so that I could, I don't know, angry read it. I'm not trying to justify why I bought this book. It was a terrible reason to buy it, especially because it's been on my Kindle since then, completely unread. But now's the time, I guess, and I hope it is better than that terrible description of it being Game of Thrones for girls. Number 11 is to read your most recently downloaded book, and for me that will be The Beekeeper's Apprentice by Lori R. King. I borrowed this from the library after I heard a review from Rachel from Colonnati, and she made it sound very interesting. It's about a girl who has an apprenticeship with Sherlock Holmes, who is now kind of middle-aged. The way that she spoke about the main character especially really intrigued me. Number 12 is to read a book set in another country, and I'm going to cheat a little bit for this because I'm picking a fantasy novel, which is technically set in another country, but it's a fictional country, and that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. It's also a little bit cheating because I've started this and I made it through 40% with a buddy read before I put it down. This is a book that I was enjoying while I was reading, and there wasn't really anything wrong with it, but when I put it down, it was completely out of my thoughts, and there was nothing about it that compelled me to want to keep reading it. I heard from the people I was buddy reading with, which I totally failed them, sorry, but I heard that just after the point where I am, like, it took off for them and it got better. So if I can just push myself to try and make it to that point and see if it gets better for me, then I feel like that will be a success, and I'll know whether or not this is a book that I'm gonna finish. Number 13 is to read a book that is outside of your comfort zone, and these are always really tricky questions for me because I feel like I read pretty widely. I would say that my 2 least read categories are probably nonfiction or short fiction, short stories. So the Pilgrim at Tinker Creek actually fits this category, so I might use it there. If not, I have a collection of short stories that's been on my Kindle for a long time, and that is Vampires in the Lemon Grove by Karen Russell. So that's it. I will put links for all of the books I mentioned in the description so you can check out actual summaries for the books. I didn't include summaries because it's 13 books and you guys don't want to hear me talk about what's on Goodreads. If you've read any of the books I mentioned, let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys soon. Something over 300 pages, and for me that's going to be The Name of the Wind, The Wise Man's Fears. I'll be reading The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson.